Hi and welcome to this week's YouTube vlog, and I hope you bobbers are okay. And I'll be honest, this is about the 10th version of the intro I've done because Isabel and me keep laughing and we're having a nightmare and we keep getting disturbances, but there we go. Thanks for everyone that subscribed last week as always, and the comments. Yes, we had some absolutely great ones last week, and if I haven't already I will get back to you as always. Yeah, there has been quite a few. Moving quickly on to this week's vlog, we are going to do a, what are we doing, Isabel? A day in the life, a morning, a wall star. We're doing a wall star? Yes we are. We're doing a bit of this and a bit of that. And yeah, basically we're off to a wall star. So this wall star is a combi. It's got no hot water. Normally it's a diaphragm. I'm hoping that's all it's going to be. I've got one on my van, but we'll see when we get there. So that's what we're up to. To be honest, we don't really know what we're up to this morning. It's been so busy this week. We're a bit confused, to be honest, as you can tell. Anyway, let's get on with this week's YouTube vlog. Okay, so we're not going to talk too loudly. So we've got a wall star combi here. Okay, and basically at the moment, as I said on my way here, there's no hot water. So basically, if we come in, let me just quickly whip in here. I'm just going to stick a tap on. And what should happen is, it should come up and fire the boiler, and it's not firing the boiler. So that's telling me that either the flow switch has failed, as it's not a switch, it's sort of a switch assembly on the end that's failed, or the diaphragm's failed. So I'm going to turn the tap off, I'm going to turn the bottom of the boiler off, and I'm going to come back to you. Right, okay, so to strip it, we just pop the front off, that's gentle. Like so. And then we've got two screws here, one here and here, which I'm going to drop down. So the boiler's hot, that should have fired, that's red hot at the moment. Put down that. One there. For people that don't know, the wall star on here to check the pressure is actually in there. Can you show them that? It's there, it's actually in there. That's where you check the pressure, in there. So okay, so here's all the gubbins in here. We're now just going to undo 1, 2, 3, 4 screws at the bottom, and then we're going to drop this panel down. But before we do that, we're just going to turn the mains off. Okay, good old bit of safe isolation. Cool, that's a bit tight. It's Isabel recording today, so say hello, Isabel.
Hello.
There she is. As always, bless her. You don't have to take these screws right out, you can just loosen them. And there. Here we go. They're like on little key slots underneath. Right. Okay, so we're just going to drop that down. This is very light, so it's on there, but it is very, very light. So I'm just going to move that. Well, if we just look in there, Isabel, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move this out of the way. I don't normally do this, but I think I might do this just to make it easier so people can see what I'm doing. So we'll just try and do that one as well. So say normally don't do this, this is for the purposes of recording. Okay, so I've got this side panel down now, as you can see. Okay, that's not tight, that's very light. We're just going to do a little check of the diaphragm, because as I say, I do suspect the diaphragm, so we're just going to double check. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to pop the little clip off like so. Okay, we're going to drop that off. I've got the mains turned off at the minute, so I'm going to turn the tap on, and Isabel's just going to see if that comes out.
Yes.
So as you can see, that comes fully out absolutely fine. So that's telling us that that works absolutely fine, that diaphragm. We're just going to do one more check first, because we have had this happen first before. So even though it's come out, I'm just going to get something and just push back on it. I'm just going to grip that on there. I'm going to push back. Okay, as you can see, I can't push back on that. So sometimes, even as the pin's out, we can then push back on them easy because the diaphragm's no good, which means it wouldn't be pushing the switch properly. So I'm happy with that, and that's all okay. I'll just go turn the tap off. That's absolutely fine. Okay, so I'm now going to turn the mains back on again. Okay, and what we're going to do now is just double check and push this switch. So I push the switch and the pump is working at the moment and doing what it's supposed to do. That's fine. So the boiler will kick in a minute. Okay, so we'll just check that side of it. Okay, we're just going to push it again. Okay, the boiler's kicked in, but the pump's actually stopped. Hang on just 2 seconds. And the pump's kicked in again. So there you go, straight away. That's telling you that the pump's getting stuck, which is a nice straightforward one. So basically, unless the pump's working, and let me turn that off. Unless the pump's working, obviously it's not going to push it through the exchanger because the pump's there. It obviously pushes the water through to the exchanger, pushes hot water out to there under there. Have you got that, Isabel? Underneath there, hot water goes in one side of the mixer, cold goes in the other side of the mixer, and then the mix that goes to your hot tap comes out the other side. So if that pump's not pushing it through and working on the exchanger, then basically you're going to get no hot water. So normally it's a diaphragm split. It's not in this case. Secondly, it can be these switches here. Again, it's not, which is like unusual, very unusual for it to not to be basically the diaphragm. And the last thing it normally can be is the pump, which in this case it is. So I'm just going to go get one off the van and we'll get it changed.
Bedtime.
Okay, so as you can tell, we're now back in the van. So what happened there was, when I was walking to my van to get a pump out, it suddenly dawned on me that they're angled pumps on the Wallstar, and we changed so few of them, they're a bit like the ones on the Worcesters, that I don't actually keep one because they're quite expensive. In the past, what I've done on them is got another head and put on instead of the actual body because it's a bit cheaper. But the only pumps I've got on my van at the moment are Wilo ones, which won't fit obviously. So yeah, unfortunately we're gonna have to order a pump for that, or I might see if I can source one locally and go back later and do it. But yeah, that's an odd one, that, because normally with Wallstars it's a diaphragm that's split. I was quite excited when I spoke to Isabel this morning going, we're gonna show these people how to do a diaphragm on a Wallstar, and then we ended up not doing it, so it's just one of them. So where we're going now, Isabel, we're going to a place called Bourne, which is local to us, and we're on a suspected vent oil line. We're not 100% sure, but we're going to have a little look, and that's where we'll be going. So yeah, Isabel, let's get on with it. Okay, so here we go. Any micey in here?
I hope not.
Micey, no. What you love about things like this is, as you can see, people clear the cupboards for us, and we're so eternally grateful for them knowing that we're coming and they're keeping it nice and tidy for us. So we'd like to commend you on your tidiness. Okay, so this is the Bolter Camray 5 boiler. It's just an external style model. It's got the casing lights over the grey casing. Front off. Right, okay, as we can see, it's on because there's your power light there to say it's on, and at the bottom, as you can see, it's locked out on there, and we know they've actually run out of oil because we've just had a word with the customer. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to double check that we've actually got
in the bushes.
But as we can see, Isabel here, as you can look, the clock gauge is in immaculate condition. So that could be a good indication to why they've run out of oil. So we need to do something about that. So the first thing I'm going to do, when you run out of oil, some people just naturally vent the oil line if they're rushing, but we're just going to do a couple of things like check the filters first. So we're going to do this one first, Isabel, around here, to make sure there's no dirt being pulled through. And then we're going to do that one. As you can see, that hangs very securely there on the side. So when I finish this, I'm actually going to do a CD14 for this because this just isn't secure at all on here. It's all wrong. And the other thing, weirdly enough, if you look here, there's your flue to the boiler, which is absolutely fine. It's obviously there, it's got a terminal guard on, but the regs are actually 6 foot from a tank. Not 6 foot from a tank. And you can't really class that as fire protection, so there you go. All right, so I'm going to go get some tools and I'll be back, Isabel. Okay, so here we go. We're going to check this filter first. This is a washable filter in here, so I've turned it off. I'm just going to, yes, I've got no gloves on. Here we go. Give it a little tap to get it going. Here we go, right. I've run out of gloves. I seem to be forever getting through them at the moment. I need to get more in the old van. Right, okay. So these are a washable filter, these, as you can see. They're washable, so we can give them a little wash in the oil like so. Give it a wipe. If they're stained, change them. But in this case, yeah, that's absolutely fine, that one, so that can go back in again, which is what I'm going to do now. You have to do this because at the end of the day you don't know if it's going to pull sludge through when you run out of oil. That quite often happens. And then if that does happen, especially if the boiler runs, it will then again go cold and all the sludge will just freeze, and then it becomes a problem. Right, so we're going to undo that. Right, that one's good. So we're just going to leave that turned off. Just going to go down to the next one. So this is an HMR style filter. What do you call them? Okay, let's just... It all needs clipping properly, really. It's in a bit of a mess, really. It shouldn't be like this. The 5-valve capillary ideally should all be inside the boiler and not outside like this. And that just goes up through there. That's not even sleeved. That's not sleeved through there. It's not ideal. If you look up there, visible at the top, the oil tank's too close. Yeah, we're having a bit of a mare with this one. It's not like it should be at all. Okay, so we're going to see if that undoes. Yep. And away we go. Well, as you can see with this one, it's filthy. You can't wash them out. It's a paper filter, so that needs changing, which is what I'm going to do now. So I have got one of them. I brought one with me. There it is up there, look, Isabel.
Yeah.
You can see the difference, look. Quite a difference there. So I'm just going to knit that gently for a minute. I'm going to turn the oil supply back on. And the easiest ways to bleed these is literally, look at the colour of that oil. Okay.
Skanky.
Just crack it undone. Just wait a second. And the oil comes roaring through. Okay. So that's bled up to there. So we've only got to get to the boiler now. So it might be that we can just reset it and it will go after a couple of times, or it might mean that we've got to actually vent it through properly. We'll have a look. That is atrocious. Okay, we're going to get back around the other side with some tools and I'll get back to you. Okay, so we're just going to take the cover off. This is just a standard reload burner, which is fine. I'm not going to show the full way how to vent a oil line at the moment. I'm never too sure if to do that because a lot of people ask us, and we have told people in the past, and what ends up happening is we tell them to undo things and they end up twisting, and this is where you bleed it, but they end up twisting the one here, which is the pump pressure at the top, and it ends up sitting them up, so it causes us a massive problem. So in this case on this boiler, we're quite lucky. The oil tank's the other side of the wall, it's quite high. We should just be able to nip the bleed undone like so. If I try and do that so you can see, Isabel. Mm-hmm. Okay. So normally I wouldn't do it this way. I would normally, you can see there, look, the air coming now. I'd normally pulse the burner, but I don't have to. See how it's pouring through now?
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to get that a little bit more, bit of air, look there. So I'm quite lucky. Keep your tissue there, don't spill your oil. Okay, that's coming through nicely. So we're literally going to put that back, like so. Nip it up. We haven't spilled any at all there. And basically, we're going to push the button and we're going to wait for it to fire. Here we go, it's about 10 seconds on these. Will it go?
Let's hope.
And there we go, perfect. Okay, so that's how you do that and get that. There's a few bits to talk a bit more about this one. Let's get back to the van, Isabel.
Yeah.
Okay, so for people that don't believe us, there's our sanitizer stations and there's our Swarfiga. So obviously we've put it on. So yes, I didn't use gloves, but as you can see, I'm being a very good boy and I'm Swarfiga in my hands. This is a dry Swarfiga, brilliant little kit. And I know I'm not advertising it, but I just thought I'd tell you about it. And the idea of this, we can just do this, get all the oil smell off. And once I've done it, it's got hand sanitizer as well. And that's exactly how we deal with it. So there we go, Isabel. That proves to people, when we're not wearing gloves, we do what we're supposed to do. Over and out. Okay, so that's that one done. We're back in the van, as they say. So, like I explained, when you're doing a vent oil line, you can be really cool and you can just vent the pump, get the boiler going, and the chances are it'll be fine. However, the correct way really is check your filters, make sure your filters are clean, and then obviously you'll have a good flow, and then vent the oil line. In an ideal world, disconnect oil lines to make sure you've got a good flow through, but we didn't have time for that. But yeah, most important is that you must check them filters, because like I explained in the vlog, if you don't and there's dirt in there, it can freeze when it goes cold, and then you'll be going back again. So we are on to our next one. Where are we going, Isabel? You don't know, do you?
Caldecott.
No, we're not. We are
Oh.
going to a crucial. We're off to look at a Arga that's messing around. We're going to get there and we're going to show you what we're up to. Let's crack on. Okay, so we've got to be quiet because we've come to this house and they're having a very special meal, and we have to be really careful because apparently we weren't supposed to be here at this time, so we need to be a bit. But basically the Arga had no flame, and it's because the I'm just going to show you. There's just a pin on the back of the flow control that you can hit and bang, and yeah, the pin had got stuck down, so obviously I've banged it, and now as you can see, we have an exceptionally good flame in the Arga. So I'm going to pass it back to Isabel. We're going to go before we make too much of a noise. And that's this week's YouTube vlog. Ching, done from us at Barton All Burner Services. And I hope you enjoyed it. And as you can tell, I'm not in my van. I'm in my garage because I'm going to throw some darts because Spurs are on tonight. And they'll probably lose. Anyway, there you go. A bit of an overview of a Wallstar combi boiler, followed by a couple of small jobs. And I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to subscribe as always, because you know we love a subscriber. And obviously, if you feel like commenting, then please feel free to comment too. It's supposed to be a better weekend this weekend, so I hope it is. And as always, have a great one, everyone. Until next time, up the Spurs. Stay safe.